Should I hide or move my assets to protect them in a divorce? Hey guys, it's Joshua Katz. I want to welcome you to my first YouTube podcast. My name, of course, is Joshua Katz, and I am a divorce and family law attorney based out of Queens, New York. I am currently Vice President of the Queens County Bar Association and co-chairman of the Family Law Committee. I've been practicing divorce in New York for over 30 years, specializing in high wealth and celebrity divorce clients, as well as high contested acrimonious custody litigation. Both my father and grandfather practiced family law in New York State, so I'm proud to be the third generation of family law attorneys. I bring a very unique experience, having worked for a very high-end Manhattan firm representing high wealth and celebrity clients, as well as having worked for a higher volume firm dealing with just high volume of clients without a lot of money. Your typical Queens case with a mortgage and a house and a couple of cars and a pension that need to be divided. At the law office of Joshua Katz, we can help you whether it's a simple case or a high wealth complex business that needs to be divided. We deal with business valuations, minority interests. We deal with pensions, separate property claims, and of course, child custody. If you're watching this, you've probably been served with divorce papers or are considering filing your own. You need to talk to a lawyer. I am here for you. I offer free phone consultations, happy to discuss your marriage, your children, your finances, and guide you with your rights, your obligations, and what to expect as you go through this process of divorce or custody litigation in a family court. Should I hide or move my assets to protect them in a divorce? No, you should not. Divorce allows the court to investigate. As an attorney, I have subpoena power. I will be investigating your spouse's assets, their bank accounts, their credit card statements. I will find it. Unless it's cash and your spouse doesn't know about it, then I don't want to know about it either. How is child custody decided in family court? Well, the standard for child custody is the best interests of the child. The courts need to look at a variety of factors called a totality of circumstances, ranging from what is the status quo, who has been the primary caretaker for the children, what are the desires and the preferences of the children, the stability of each parent in home and work, the ability of the parents to foster a positive relationship if they're given custody between the child and the non-custodial parent. There are many, many factors a court will look at to determine what's in the best interest of the child. There is no longer any presumption in favor of one parent or the other, and most judges, especially in Queens County, favor as close to a 50-50 parenting schedule as possible. Can I move out of state with my child during a custody case? No, you cannot. Not without permission of the other parent or consent by an order of the court. We can make a petition, a motion to allow you to take that child, whether temporarily or permanently, but you cannot do it without consent, and if you attempt to do that, a court could actually order you to return the child, and it can compromise your position in the custody litigation. What's the difference between legal custody and physical custody? That is something that most of my clients really don't understand. Legal custody is about decision-making authority, major life-altering decisions, usually to change a child's religion, to switch a child from public school to private school or homeschool, and medical decisions. God forbid you have a child with a very serious illness and a doctor recommends surgery and you go for a second opinion and the second doctor recommends medication. And if the parents don't agree, who gets to make these decisions? That's legal custody. Physical custody is about the residence of the child. Where is the child going to reside? Primarily with mom or primarily with dad? How much time will the child spend with the other parent? That's physical custody. Can grandparents get custody or visitation rights? Well, the law recognizes that grandparents are very special people. And grandparents are the only people other than biological parents who have standing to file for visitation. And the law thinks grandparents are good. And therefore, the judges try to award visitation for grandparents. What is the number one mistake that people make in family court? Well, that would be thinking that they could represent themselves. It is very important that you not only hire a lawyer if you're involved in family court, but that you hire an experienced lawyer, one who knows the judges and is familiar with the preferences and what the judges are going to look at, one who specializes, not a general practitioner, but a real family court lawyer. How does domestic violence affect custody and divorce cases? There is a recent change in the domestic relations law in New York that now makes it mandatory for a court to consider domestic violence as a factor in the distribution of property. New York is an equitable distribution state, not equal distribution. And if one parent exercises domestic violence and hurts another parent, that is a factor that says it's not fair to distribute the property equally. In a custody case, domestic violence is even more important. If a court finds that there is domestic violence, that is poor parental decision making. And that is an important factor that says we shouldn't give a child to a perpetrator of domestic violence. How soon after filing for divorce can I start dating? That is a question I get asked in almost every divorce case that comes to me. And there's no right or wrong answer to this. A lot of it actually depends on your judge. A more conservative judge will be offended by this. It depends on the age of the children and how quickly you introduce a new boyfriend or girlfriend into the lives of the child. If the child doesn't know about it, there's no effect and you can date whoever you want. But if it affects the child, it can be a factor for custody, and you need a lawyer that's familiar not only with this issue, but familiar with this judge and the way that particular judge looks at the issue. Can cheating affect custody outcome? And the short answer to that is if it affects the child. If the child doesn't know about it, it's not a factor for custody. It could be a factor for equitable distribution. If a spouse is spending money on a paramour, there may be a credit due. If there are charges on a credit card for flowers and hotel rooms, the other spouse is entitled to some of that back. But if it really doesn't affect the child directly or the child is not aware of it, then it shouldn't affect custody. Disparagement is an issue that comes up in almost every custody dispute, and it's standard language to include in any court order about custody or a settlement agreement that neither parent shall disparage the child to the other parent or even allow third parties or family members to do so in front of the child. You really need to be careful. Just because your spouse is an ass doesn't mean that you should tell that to the child. Truth is not a defense. The other parent is still the mother or the father to this child, and you need to be very careful. It is harmful to a child to hear bad things about either parent. I'm frequently asked if there's a benefit or an advantage for one parent in a custody situation if they make substantially more money than the other parent. So while financial stability is certainly one factor in child custody, it is not a dispositive factor. And if the other parent gets custody, there's going to be child support paid. And if it's a divorce case, there's going to be spousal support or maintenance paid. So the law says one parent shall not reside in a hovel while the other resides in a mansion. The court will try to equalize somewhat the finances of each parent. You may feel that your spouse has an advantage because they show up with a high-powered Manhattan firm with 3 lawyers and 2 associates. Nah, I don't get intimidated by big firms. I don't get intimidated by expensive lawyers. You just need a lawyer that knows what they're doing, has the experience, and is the right level of aggressive and knowledgeable to get the job done for you. It's more important to have an experienced, knowledgeable lawyer, familiar with the judge, familiar with the issues, than any expensive law firm. I have, to this day, never seen a Manhattan lawyer succeed because they're from a big law firm. In fact, I am frequently brought in of counsel from some of the bigger Manhattan firms because they want local counsel on their team. If I had to give you one piece of advice for a divorce with custody in 2025, keep a diary. Write it down, guys. Tell me. You're creating evidence for the court. Keep records. What did he or she do on this day? What happened to the kids on this day? The more detailed, the better, but keep a diary and a record. Tell me, write down, where did this happen? The time, the location, the details, so that we can start gathering evidence for the court. Save those text messages and be careful what you write. Stay off social media, except to watch my videos. Keep in mind, anything that you post on social media, your judge will see it. And if you don't want the judge to read those texts or to see that post, you hanging out and smoking with your friends, don't put it on social media. Guys, I've got so much more to say, but I want to hear from you. What are your questions? What's keeping you up at night? Drop it in the comments for me, and I'll answer those questions on my next video. Like, comment, subscribe. If you found this content helpful, please share it with someone who needs it. And I look forward to seeing you on my next video.